when people talk about solutions, they kind of expect you to map out an organization and a structure and have someone taking the minutes. That's not what it's about. We're in a situation where psychopaths have taken over our reality. And so what's the answer? Well, the answer is we are. We are the answer. And, you know, you can go through the left brain and talk about structure, and he takes the minutes, like I say. But the bottom line is, the difference between the world we live in and the world that we can live in is whether our society is conscious or unconscious, because unconsciousness is going to get us here, so consciousness must take us somewhere else. It's about becoming conscious. Question is, how do you become conscious? Well, you disconnect from the program, and then you automatically are conscious, as I'll come to. But, you know, the theme in whatever culture, whether it's the Gnostics or whatever, they talk about this archontic force envying humans and fearing that they will wake up. And that's why they have to keep us asleep, and they're terrified that we'll wake up. And that's why in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, because the one-eyed man, the suppression has kept humanity, the target population, in a deeper sense of ignorance than it is in. Thus, the one-eyed man is king. So we wake up, and like I said, the three-eyed, two-eyed man, woman, everyone will wake up, and the game will be over. They don't keep us in a state of spiritual, mental, and emotional oppression for a laugh. They do it because it's the only way of controlling us. So getting out of that is fundamental. They are seeking to hijack our perception. We need to take our perception back. You know, when the Native Americans are talking about this choice between one side of us and another side of us, well, that is the world that we have helped to create by falling into its trap. People say, what are the solutions? That's the solution, because everything comes from that. Joy, love, peace, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion. All these things will transform the world, and there's so many people in this world who are already there. But they need to put their heads above the parapet and express that instead of hiding it and hiding away from society. Which one wins decides which society we live in. Thus, it's not about left brain structure. What we need to do in a holographic expression of this changing consciousness will naturally come from the changing consciousness. Changing consciousness is what we need. We've been decoding this reality. We need to decode this reality, and that means changing our consciousness, and thus what we decode. And Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we created them. So, here we are in a perfect example of that. The way we have expressed ourselves through generations and generations, thousands of years of what we call human life, has got us into this situation. And so we need to change that to get out of it. And the difference is being in the program or being conscious beyond the program. It is absolutely that simple. And once we're really conscious beyond the program, there'll be nothing like fear of expressing yourself within the realm of the program. Because some people kind of suss the program, but they've not got so conscious that they've gone above fear so that they can actually express themselves within the program. They've sussed the program, but then they keep their heads down and their mouths shut because they worry about the consequences of challenging the program. That's not in a conscious state. That's a greater awareness state. It's not a conscious state. A conscious state coming from the heart. The heart doesn't do fear. Bollocks to that. Fear, heart. Love doesn't fear. Love has this image of being weak. Oh, he's about love. He'll be doing the washing up next. What's he doing? Well, love is beyond fear. It's beyond time and space, the realm of fear. Thus, it does what it believes to be right, whatever that is and whatever it takes. And when we reach that level, there'll be so many people speaking out and expressing themselves in the program will get absolutely dismantled by people waking up and expressing that awakeness. You know, it is so simple. How do we change the world? We change ourselves. How do we change ourselves? We step out of the program and become the conscious infinity forever that we are. Becoming consciousness conscious beyond mind. In this, kind of matrix, they'll never kind of see it, like in the quotes I've been giving about the simulated universe. They'll never see it, the walls. Well, the way through the walls is becoming conscious beyond mind. It's breaking out of thought and going into intuitive knowing, into a state of awareness that is beyond thought. It just knows. You know, we do the body language. It's telling us. We say, hold on, I'm thinking. And then we go, look, I just know. Because that's where knowing comes from. And what am I saying? Reversing the inversion. Going from interacting with this reality through the gut and the emotions and starting to interact with it through the heart again. Oh, we can do it. It's a choice. We can do it now. We can do it tonight. We can go on doing it after tonight. It is just a choice. But people often don't make the choice because they think, well, the consequences of making the choice, well, my life will change. Yes, it will. For the better, overwhelmingly, once you start to break out of it. The divine light is always in man, woman, presenting itself to the senses and to the comprehension, but man rejects it. We just have to let it in. You let it in through the heart. This is a wonderful lady, Alice Walker, wonderful lady. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. And that is the greatest dismantling of human power that this archontic force has, is selling the perception that we don't have any. You had the power all along, my dear. We have just forgotten and we're waking up to it. Who do we answer to? David Icke? Do we answer to Ethel Jones or Charlie Smith? Or do we answer to I am infinite awareness, all that is, has been, and ever can be, having an experience of that name? That is the revolution of self-identity, from experience to that which is experiencing. Imprisoned by walls that we build for ourselves, and the system helps us, encourages us to build them. Perception programming. We accept the imposition of belief from other people, whether it's parents or academics. No. Blank sheet of paper. I decide, the I decides what goes on that paper. In other words, what I accept as my reality. I don't care how many letters you've got after your name. I don't care if you're freaking famous. I don't know who you are. I don't care if you're my mother and father who are trying to impose their belief system upon me. I am infinite awareness. I will decide what my belief is and how I perceive reality. And that, again, breaks out of this program of responding to how others tell us we should be. And we've got to kind of realize that there will be resistance to that. People who go, oh, what about you, when you start to resist the program. But it doesn't matter, because if they can't respect our right to be us, well, what we bother in being around them anyway for? It's about dropping the actor's mask or realizing what the mask is, that it's just an experience. It's just a point of attention within infinite reality. And when we leave this body, we'll move our point of attention. And we are doing that infinitely forever. That's as bad as it freaking gets. And if we go on accepting the program, go on accepting externally implanted beliefs, then we're just pawns in the program, pawns in the game, and we've given our power away. What are we doing as infinite reality? Having our belief systems externally imposed. We have infinite reality, infinite possibility, infinite potential to choose from and manifest. Why are we having people tell us what we are and what we should be? When we choose not to do that, when we choose not to fall into the program, then we start to make a positive difference in the world. Because by disconnecting from the program, we are taking its power away, one by one by one. And when we get caught in emotion, that's what we're supposed to do in our freaking challenge, overcoming emotional impulses. You know, I know that as much as anybody. But when we get caught in these emotion programs running through the body, and what's interesting is when near-death experiencers describe their experiences, invariably they say, when I left the body, there was no emotion. It wasn't your emotion loss. Human emotion wasn't there anymore. It's a program, or this low vibrational human response, because that's the energy that they wish to generate for reasons we've discussed, and thus they have put programs through the operating system which generate that energy. But infinite consciousness can overwhelm and overpower that if we come through the heart, because the heart doesn't do that kind of emotion, this does. And once we fall for the emotion trap, we're not in the now. Because when we're worried about the future, we're pulled into a future that actually doesn't exist. We're pulled into a place where we can't do anything. We are powerless because you can't change something that doesn't exist. And when we have regrets, emotional regrets about the past, we're pulled into the past that doesn't actually exist. We're pulled out of the now, which is the one moment where we can change everything. So pulling out of the regrets and the future, I mean, I am not what has happened to me. That is an experience that we have had to this point. And it's brought us to this point. And some of the things we haven't liked have been good for us because it's given us experiences that have helped us to become more understanding of everything. But I am not what has happened to me. I am where I am now. And at any point in the now, we can make a new start. And whatever has happened in the past, however bad it was, however we regret it, however we don't like it, we can start anew now anytime we choose and build a different world, a different reality, a different human experience for ourselves. We have the power to do that as long as we don't fall for the program that pulls us into the past and the future. I am not what I choose to, I am what I choose to be now. And tonight, anytime, we can choose to be something different. Oh, well, you weren't like that before. No, but that was another now. This is this now. I am now. And Leonardo da Vinci said, one can have no smaller or greater mastery other than mastery of oneself. This is the revolution. Mastery of oneself that takes us out of the program and ceases to have us being a computer terminal on someone else's matrix. And what we do is we don't accept externally downloaded perceptions of reality. We choose our own on our terms. Socrates said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old or fighting anything, but on building the new. And this revolution is about building the new. And by building the new, by the very definition of doing that, you're challenging the old by definition. You're replacing it with something else instead of fighting it and becoming an expression of what you're fighting. What you fight, you become. Remember who you are. That is the revolution. And having the initial courage, but you soon get past that and the need for it, to express who you are, no matter what people say about you, do about you. Because if we give away our right to be us because of what the program is doing to us, well, we might as well not even start. Can you remember who you were before the world told you what you should be? That's a starting point. Let's now, from this point, start to be who we are and not what the world is telling us we should be. People think that oneness... People think that what we call oneness is like everyone's the same. That's the opposite. Oneness is the oneness of all possibility. So to express the diversity and the differences and the uniqueness of infinite points of attention is to celebrate oneness, to celebrate being part of all possibility. The opposite of that is the system in which you do invariably turn out people just the same because they're operating on such a narrow band of possibility. Expressing your uniqueness and being aware of oneness is not a contradiction because it's an expression of each other. This near-death experiencer said, I detach myself from preconceived outcomes. That's a killer, that. Because once you have a preconceived outcome, this is what I want the outcome to be, and you're not kind of fluid, well, we'll go and see where it goes, then if that outcome doesn't happen, then you consider it a failure, you consider that it's not happened, and you consider life's terrible. And yet, if you just flowed with it, well, that possibility might manifest, a better one might manifest in somewhere else. So preconceived idea is such a trap, such a prison, preconceived outcomes. And trust that all is well. Being myself allows the wholeness of my unique magnificence to draw me in those directions most beneficial to me and to all others. This is really the only thing I have to do. And within that framework, everything that is truly mine comes into my life effortlessly, in the most magical and unexpected ways imaginable, demonstrating every day the power and love of who I truly am. Are conscious, as I'll come to, but you know, the theme in whatever culture, whether it's the Gnostics or whatever, they talk about this archontic force envying humans and fearing that they will wake up. And that's why they have to keep us asleep, and they're terrified that we'll wake up. And that's why in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king, because the one-eyed man, the suppression has kept humanity, the target population, in a deeper sense of ignorance. When people talk about solutions, they kind of expect you to map out an organization and a structure and have someone taking the minutes. That's not what it's about. We're in a situation where psychopaths have taken over our reality. And so what's the answer? Well, the answer is we are. We are the answer. And, you know, you can go through the reference then. It is in, thus the one-eyed man is king. So we wake up, and like I said, the three-eyed, two-eyed man, woman, everyone will wake up, and the game will be over. They don't keep us in a state of spiritual, mental, and emotional oppression for a laugh. They do it because it's the only way of controlling us. So getting out of that is fundamental. They are seeking to hijack our perception. We need to take our perception back. You know, when the Native Americans are talking about this choice between one side of us and another side of us, well, that is the world that we have helped to create by falling into its trap. People say, what are the solutions? That's the solution, because everything comes from that. Joy, love, peace, hope, serenity. You brain and talk about structure, and he takes the minutes, like I say. But the bottom line is, the difference between the world we live in and the world that we can live in is whether our society is conscious or unconscious, because unconsciousness is going to get us here, so consciousness must take us somewhere else. It's about becoming conscious. Question is, how do you become conscious? Well, you disconnect from the program, and then you're automatically